Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are working on the IS200 Pro drift car. I'm a little bit sick, so excuse the voice, but I've put a few events on the car now and I felt it out and there's a few things I want to improve. Engine-wise, I'm pretty happy with it. Everything runs beautifully. It's got enough power and things like that. But I have a few issues with grip, maintaining grip in the back, maintaining grip in the front, and I want to get a little bit more angle out of it. That being said, I'm pretty happy with this front angle setup, but seeing as it's a bit of a pro level drift car, having easily replaceable parts and having the best parts to do what I'm trying to do is a good idea. So what we're going to be doing today is upgrading the front suspension and front angle kit. Now I'll show you in a sec what I have in the car now, but it is still a very traditional, like old school style setup with just an adjustable lower control arm and a knuckle adapter slash spacer. It works very well, but I'm limited in the adjustability with what I'm trying to do. And I find depending on the track or depending on what tire I'm running, I would like to manipulate the geometry to, gain a bit more grip or gain a little bit more side bite or lose a bit of grip if I'm trying to do a specific entry or trying to drive in a certain way that day. Might be driving with some friends, so we need a little bit less grip. Might be doing a comp, so I need a lot more grip. But with this setup, there's not a lot of adjustment, so we're gonna be swapping it out. Let's get it up in the air, and I'll show you what's in here, and then I'll show you the new parts we have as well. All right, so basically, since we're upgrading the suspension and changing the subframe and the steering rack, we need to drop the subframe, and I don't really wanna drop the engine and gearbox right now, so we're gonna support the engine with like a piece of steel. So I'm just gonna show you how we do that. Okay, just got a piece of scrap metal going across, sitting on the towers, well, I guess the upper supports. That's actually going to take the weight of everything. And just take a strap. All right, now it's supported. All right, now the car's up in the air. We can have a look at our old setup. So the first thing we have, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on the camera, but we have a twin turbo Supra brake, so Supra big brakes. And then if we turn it to full lock, that's about how much forward lock we get out of it. And that's about how much backwards. So plenty of lock, but that's not really my issue here. So if we come underneath, we can get a pretty good look at the whole setup. So starting from the top, so at the top we have a standard upper control arm out of a JZX 100. Coilover is an Airflex custom coilover with a Pro Coil air cup. Upright is completely stock. The knuckle is completely stock just with the Supra brakes. Now the actual angled knuckle itself is the Boost Star reverse knuckle. It's a bolt-on knuckle and it offsets the actual spindle. Standard sway bar, standard end links. And then we have an IKEA Formula lower control arm, standard tie rod and tie rod end, no spacers or anything like that, and an IKEA Formula caster arm, which is adjustable. There's no rack spacers or anything like that in this, so fairly simple setup and it works well. But let's pull it out and I'll show you the new setup. All right, now pulling the subframe isn't the hardest thing in the world. We put that support up the top that's gonna hold the engine in place. We're gonna leave the gearbox bolted in so that the engine is supported front and back. And then we can basically disconnect everything, undo the struts from the strut towers and drop the whole subframe on the floor. So I'm just gonna go through and start undoing bolts. Take power steering lines off because we're gonna pull the rack out as well. And then the last step will be to undo the strut mounts and then we can just lower the subframe. First thing I'm gonna do is pull off all the braces and take brake lines off as well. Initially, I was actually just going to support the bell housing with the transmission jack and drop everything down, but then I figured I wanted to put the wheels on the floor and then lift the car to take the subframe out. That's why I didn't do that. All right, that's the subframe out. We're actually going to be replacing everything on this subframe. So let's get this out of the way. We're going to take the coilovers off because that's the only thing we actually are keeping. And then we'll get the new subframe in and we'll get the new suspension set up here and we'll show you the differences. All right, so here's our new setup and there's our old setup. So here we have the Wisefab angle kit. It's got an upper control arm, still standard spindle, but you'll notice that it actually mounts to the bottom of the spindle. And then a lower control arm, caster arm, all in one, and then a new actual, I guess you would call it bottom hub section. We're going back to a standard size brake because we don't have as much wheel clearance for this because it does increase the track width. But now we have a lot of adjustment top and bottom. So yeah, we can adjust the caster at the top and the bottom, and obviously we can adjust track width, camber, everything like that. Whereas the old setup, we only had adjustment on the bottom and everything was fixed mounted. And then we don't have a separate caster arm anymore. It actually swoops around the back, so it gives you heaps more wheel clearance over here. The lower control arm and the caster arm are basically all one assembly now. And then you have a standard Wisefab tie rod, which is obviously going to give us heaps and heaps of lock. So basically the old setup has a lower control arm and it has a caster arm that goes out here. Now it's all just one piece, mounts to the subframe there. And then instead of like a knuckle angle thing, it all just supports the knuckle. And then up here, usually with the standard setup, you have an issue of the upper control arm hitting the strut tower, but the Wisefab actually moves it to the bottom. So that should give us way more clearance. Then we've got some shims and stuff. Thanks to my buddy Keegan for selling me his Wisefab kit. Now you can see here on the stock setup what I was talking about. So there's the lower control arm there.
and then there's a separate caster arm, which actually sits a little bit further out usually, so you have wheel clearance issues. And then we've got our standard IS200 steering rack, which is on rubber mounts, and you can see those mounting points that it has. Now with the Wisefab kit, we actually cut out half the subframe basically, and it moves the steering rack further forward, giving you more clearance and stopping the rack from binding, and it just puts the angles a little bit better. When I get it in the car, you'll see what I mean. And then we also have a IS300 steering rack here. It's a little bit beefier than the 200 rack. We've got solid mounts, so these are like a nylon mount at the front, and then in here we've got like a solid aluminium mount. So yeah, that's that. And the subframe actually has, the plate is actually welded on. It comes with the Wisefab kit. I'll try to put a photo up of what the relocation kit looks like. Even if you're not running the Wisefab angle setup, you can just do the rack relocation, and it will fix some geometry issues with your standard setup. So hope that makes sense, but let's start fitting it in the car and we'll see how everything looks once it's installed. All right, now obviously we took the subframe out with all the arms and stuff like that. Putting it back in, it's going to be a little bit easier just to put the subframe in by itself. I'm only by myself, so it's going to be hard to lift the whole subframe in. So I'm just going to put this bare subframe with the steering rack in, just like this. Even that's pretty heavy. So I'm going to put that in, and then I'll go through putting in one of the sides, setting up all the angle like that. And then we'll go over the sort of adjustment that you have with the Wisefab, what changes you can make to change how the car feels. We'll put a base setup into it. They're out of a friend's car, so they're already roughly set up. And then we'll do some more adjustments at the track, sort of dial in the feel and get it how I want it. Okay, so all I'm trying to do is line everything up as it goes in, and then it's usually a good idea to loosen the engine mounts a little bit so you can clock them as everything goes in. All right, so as you can see, got these two studs lined up here. The engine mount is loose, so I can line the studs up, and then I'm just gonna guide the steering shaft on as I go up. Subframe's in, so what we want to do now is go through and torque all these bolts down. I'll hook up the power steering lines as well, and yeah, we'll get this situated. All right, so this isn't a Wisefab thing, so to speak, but pretty much every angle kit on an IS, you're gonna need to bash this part of the strut tower. You need to do the front as well, but mine's all cut out, so I can't really show you that. So basically, I just get a sledgehammer and go to town. You might need to put some relief cuts on this pinch weld, just so you can actually fold it back, but just bash it as much as you can. It's a very, very strong part of the car, so it's very, very hard to actually massage. Right, you'll get to a point where no matter how hard you hit it, it actually stops closing in, so that's as far as you can go. If you want to go further, you could cut it out and do all sorts of things, but I think that's going to be far enough for us. If we need to bash it more in the future, it's not too hard just to get in here and smack it. If you had a bigger hammer, it would probably help, but that's all I got. So that's it in terms of bashing. Let's get the arms in and see the clearance. Okay, I'm not going to go over installing every little part on its own, but basically I've bolted the upper control arm to the upright, so it's just one bolt here, and then I've bolted the, I guess you would call this the hub. Brake calipers on, that goes through that, and then I've got the tie rod on here. So what I'm going to do is put this whole assembly in the car as one, and then we'll fit the control arm. That's going to keep it a little bit lighter. You can put everything on part by part, but I find it's going to probably be a little bit easier to do it like this. Now on the car, you will have to get rid of your brake line and get a longer brake line. I think Wisefab do sell them, or you can just custom make one. And then the bolts themselves, one for the lower control arm is an eccentric delete, so it has like a little washer on it, so make sure you keep that handy. Lower control arm itself, pretty straightforward, just goes straight in. Basically a direct replacement of what was in there. Now this also gets rid of the nut that's usually on the lower control arm because the subframe is now threaded. And then the caster arm will go up like that. All right, the caster arm just gets a bolt underneath it, just like that. Just gonna give it a few taps. Now, since these are all spherical bearings, you can tighten them with the car in the air. You don't have to put it on the ground or anything like that. All right, now for our coilover, we've got an Airflex Australia custom coilover. These aren't really for sale. I just built this for myself. It's got a Pro Coil air cup. Those are for sale. So good solution for those wanting to get extra height out. Cool thing about these air cups is you can drive on them aired up. There's no speed limits or anything like that. So yeah, that's our coilover assembly. We've got a 24 kilo front spring. So we're just gonna pop this in as normal. Now on the Wisefab, you do have a few holes where you can put your strut in, and that's going to change your effective spring rate. So the further you move it, you change your shock travel ratio. So the reason we run such a stiff spring in an IS is because the travel ratio is close to 2 to 1. So to actually compress this 1 millimeter, this needs to move twice. So the spring rate is effectively half. It's not exactly, but roughly. So a good way to think about it, a 24 kilo spring is something like a 12. But yeah, using these 3 pickup points, you can drastically change the effective spring rate because you can change the travel ratio. Obviously, the closer you move it forward, the closer it's going to get to 1 to 1. So if you want to get a stiffer spring without actually changing the spring, that's the way to do it. Now on the floor, obviously you can just use a jack, but I'm not on the floor, so we're going to use a transmission jack. Now, since your adjustment on these kits is all basically in Allen head bolts, all the bolts can get Loctited in. That way, if you're like me and you've got fairly stiff or solid engine mounts, you won't have any issues with things coming loose at the track, which is an issue I had with the last setup. Our buddy Keegan has done us the gracious gesture of giving us longer brake lines. Not gonna have to mess around with that too much, but I'll give a length of this so you know what length of brake line to get if you're gonna get them custom made. But yeah, the one we had definitely wasn't long enough. Standard bolts on the upper control arms. Okay, now the upper control arm's in, we can put the strut in once more. All right, now I'm gonna go do the other side, but before that, let's see how long this brake line is. So end to end, it's about 500 mil long. So if you're looking to get the brake line made, I get it from the banjo to the other side, to the M10 female side, 500 millimeters. But yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna do the other side. Okay, now on the old subframe, that is the stock sway bar. And you can see it actually sort of cuts in. It's kind of hard to see when it's off the car, but it sticks out very far and it cuts into the wheel arch. So your wheel actually wants to come to about here with the Wisefab, and that limits you. So what we've got here is a Part Shop Max high clearance sway bar. So you can see that the arms themselves are longer and they take a much sharper turn. So the sway bar should just hug this here. So we're gonna do, fit that to the car, and then we'll put a wheel on and see if we need to change wheel specs and things like that. Let's get it on the car. Okay, now we're just using the standard brackets and everything like that and the standard bushings. You can upgrade them if they're in bad condition or if you want to use like a poly bushing or something, but for our application, the stock stuff is gonna be just fine. So putting these in, I like to just take the end links. You can run an aftermarket end link if you want to get something a little bit shorter, depending on the height you're running it at, but we're not going too low with it, so the stock length end link should be okay. Now it's also a good idea to leave the sway bar loose until you get both sides in, and then you can tighten them. That way you can still move side to side a little bit. And that's the sway bar installed.
Okay, so we've got everything installed, sway bars in, control arms and everything are in. I'm gonna go over the adjustment that you have with the Wisefab kit and what you can adjust and what it's gonna do. So we'll just start from the inside and work our way out. So the first thing you have is right here, you have your lower control arm adjustment. This is gonna adjust the length of this arm. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna change, one, it's gonna change the camber, it's gonna change track width, and it's gonna change the caster because your caster arm is now integrated. So going over to this side, you can see that your caster arm is now integrated. Usually it would cut across here, but now it's one piece with the lower control arm. Not sure how easy that is to see, but you can also adjust the caster with this nut here. And then at the track, if you have like a 5-minute call or something, you can do some quick adjustments on the top. And I guess these sliders would also take up some slack if you take a hit. Okay, so that's your adjustment at the back. Moving further forward, we have your sway bar pickup point and you have your coilover, your strut mount. The closer you move it to the inside, the more mechanical advantage is on it. I guess the lever is longer to pivot on it. So that's that, very creative. Now at the top, we have our upper control arm, which is an awesome design because it actually moves the pickup from the top to the bottom. So it gives you heaps of clearance to the strut tower. And then you have some more caster and camber adjustment on these knobs. You just use an Allen key, get in there and you can adjust it as much as you like. Now moving up here to the hub, you pick up points for your knuckle, which are just these 2 bolts. And then in the middle is your lock stop. So as you can see right now, we have it at full lock and it's actually touching. Now this bolt is basically eccentric, so it's not a completely symmetrical bolt. So as you turn it, you can make the hub go further and further in before it touches. So that's your lock stop. Now here you have your tie rod. So this is just a standard M14 tie rod, pretty easy to replace. All the Wisefab ones are interchangeable and then just a bolt going through it here. So there's no split pins or anything, super easy to service at the track. But yeah, that's basically all the adjustment we have. Everything on it is threaded with like an Allen key, so it's really, really easy to adjust. There's actually one more adjustment on the tie rod pickup. So these plates here change the Ackerman. So you have a trailing and a leading edge for the wheel to turn. And using these plates, you can change. So like, let's say you turn left, the inside wheel is always going to turn more than the outside wheel because the inside wheel has a sharper radius. So you can actually dial in the Ackerman to get the sort of more grip or a more, I guess, floaty style of feel. You can change how the car feels just by changing out these Ackerman plates. It's literally just a plate here with 2 dowels in it. So you just take this bolt out and there's a plate on the bottom, plate on the top, and you can try out all different feelings. I've got everything set to like a medium level. It's not super aggressive. It should still be pretty fast. So I'm gonna try this out. I'll take the Ackerman plates to the track with me and I'll write down the alignment specs and then we'll go to the track and I might want to add some more toe or take some camber out or whatever. I'll make some adjustments like that. Now I'll put my specs on the screen if I remember. So if you're getting started, you can sort of copy those specs. We're just gonna do a quick toe alignment, a quick camber alignment. The car start, I usually just go as far forward as I can until something hits. So in my case, the first thing I'll hit is this intercooler pipe. So I'll move the caster as far forward as I can until I hit this intercooler pipe and then I'll back it off a little bit. Obviously you should go get a wheel alignment and set your caster properly, but I like the way these cars drive with max caster. I'm not sure if the Wisefab is going to change that, but we'll start with that and we'll see how it goes. Now, once everything's done, last thing you want to do is stick a wheel on the car. So I've just got the same wheels that I was running before and you just want to turn lock to lock. So take the wheel to full lock. You should do this on the ground. I'm just going to do it on the hoist because it's easier to explain. plane, but you want to take the wheel lock to lock, make sure everything can spin and nothing's hitting or anything like that. Do it both ways. I just call this a clearance check, and it just makes sure that nothing's going to rub when you get to the track and you're not going to have any dramas. So you do have to run a pretty weak wheel. This is like an 18x9. I think it's probably plus 35, 40, something like that. Depending on your guards, this sticks out the guard very, very far. So I still need to change wheels and stuff like that. But make sure you do clearance check and then you're good to go. Okay, so the car's off the hoist on the floor now. I haven't put the side skirts on just because this being a rear rack car, it's easier to do the alignment from the back of the wheel. So I'm gonna show you how I do an alignment. I've just got some cheap toe plates and they come with 2 tape measures. So grab a mate. You can do this by yourself, but I have my resident Jimmy here to help me. So we're gonna just align this. So all you do, so your kit's gonna come with 2 hopefully identical tape measures, and you wanna take your toe plate, slide it against the bottom and put it up against the wheel firmly so it's, you know, flush with the wheel. You might have to hold it there with one hand, slide your tape under. Now your mate on the other end is gonna hook it over this, and then same thing on the back, slide your tape through. What I usually do is hold it against it with my foot, and now get your measurement. So here we have 198.7, 194, about 4.5 mil of toe out, because this number is bigger than this number. So all we're gonna do is adjust the tie rod. Now the rack is already centered, so you don't just wanna adjust 4 mil on this side. You wanna do like 2 mil on this side, 2 mil on that side, check again. Now it's not 1-to-1, so 1 mil of adjustment on the tie rod is not 1 mil of adjustment here. Obviously there's a travel ratio, so I'll probably adjust it by like 1 or 2 mil on either side, and then we'll check again. Okay, there's no real light under here, but all I'm gonna do is loosen this and then wind this out. And since the rack is on the rear, as we make this arm longer, it's gonna get toe in. So I'll just do this and then we'll check again. Again, just make sure you do it evenly on both sides. If you add heaps of toe to one side and don't touch the other side, you will actually have more angle one way. So make sure your rack is centered. There's probably better guides on YouTube than this of centering the rack, but basically easiest way to do it is just make sure the length of both sides is the same, and then do your toe adjustment from there. Look, it might be a couple mil out either side. Don't worry too much about it. I've got the Ackerman set with a little bit of positive Ackerman, but I think I'm gonna end up changing it to 0 Ackerman. I just prefer the way it drives a little bit. So the recommended alignment specs are right here. Get as close to those as you can. Might not work with your wheel specs and stuff, so what I've done in the end, I ended up just raising the car a little bit. Fairly stiff spring rate, so it shouldn't rub, but I'm gonna work on getting some skinnier wheels as well, just to get it inside the guard. And that's it for our Wisefab install and our bit of a suspension refresh. Thanks for watching. In the next video with this car, I might try get out to the track, introduce you to some of the Sydney drifting scene and the different layouts and stuff like that, and we'll give the car a bit of a shakedown, see how the Wisefab feels. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.